748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
As we all try to figure out when winter will actually stop and spring will finally be here for the season, GS Construction moves ahead with their plans for the year. From planning and digging to laying out underground infrastructure, construction season is limited, so we make every day count. And that's why GS Construction counts on our team to get the job done right. Crews are getting back in action across the city, and we'd like you to join us. We're looking for experienced top men, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. For more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Craving your favorite mouth-watering pizzas? Papa John's has large specialty pizzas for only $19.99 for a limited time. Get a flavorful all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, Hawaiian, barbecue chicken, and more on original thin or New York style crust. Use the code LSPEC at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. Get yours today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lotteries, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
No fluff, no fillers, just pure entertainment. Sports 1440 brings the heat with bold opinions, big personalities, and Edmonton's fiercest fans. This is your turf. This is Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
A long weekend pit stop without a Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid can be hectic. But when you get a Prius plug-in hybrid during Red Tag days, you can take advantage of an estimated combined range of up to 962 kilometers and get there with fewer stops. Take advantage of Red Tag days on now. Eligible customers can receive up to $7,500 in rebates, including a $2,500 federal rebate on select 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid models. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Fast track your financial goals with a special rate term deposit from Vision Credit Union. For a limited time, take advantage of a great rate on 1, 3, or 5-year terms. Plus, as a Vision Credit Union member, you can earn up to 25% more on your interest through profit shares. For details, contact your branch today or visit visioncu.ca. That's visioncu.ca.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Welcome to the Lowdown. Today's show, the NHL playoffs have already started. Hold on to your ass. It's intense out there. Oilers, Ducks, with every player style from Connor McDavid to Radko Gudas on the ice tonight. Are you ready for this? Wow. It's going to be a blast. The Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's Truck Month featuring their best deals of the year. Ask about 0% financing plus extra discounts for Costco members. Wolf GMC Buick. .com. We are live on YouTube, of course. We're live on Sports 1440 AM radio, also at sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, and Radio Player Canada. If you'd like us on Memorex, you can do that too. We're on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and of course, we tweet it out on X. On Twitter, we're available at Lowetide. There's an E in the middle there. Declan Krueger and J Fenwick 04. Going to be an interesting day today. Of course, we have Jason Gregor at 1:20. We have Eric Stevens at 1 o'clock to talk about the Anaheim Ducks. And we have, are you ready for this, at 1:40 today, just a little bit of a different time because she's busy otherwise. We're going to be looking forward to talking a lot about all the sports. I tried to keep it, honestly, just with the Oilers, but I've got like 6 questions. That's about what time we have with Rachel Krychak. So 3 are on the Oilers, 3 on somebody else, and we'll do that at 1:40 today. And through the entire playoffs, it'll be 1:40 because she's doing some work with Betalytics that will take her away from us in the usual time at 12:40. So it's 1:40 today. Oilers Ducks, we have the lines and pairings. We'll talk about that. Expectations, talk about that. Lots of NBA to talk about. Lots of NHL playoffs to talk about. First, though, it's the time for the introductions. Are you guys ready? His personal goal song, were he an NHL player, would be Chop Suey by System of a Down because it's unusual and groundbreaking. And that's exactly what he is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick, everybody.
Interesting. I would go like Black Betty by Ram Jam or something.
I did think of that. I did think of that exact song.
Big fan of that one. Get the guitar riff and things in there. So that's where I think I would go with that. But Chop Suey, why not?
It's not bad. I mean, it's not insulting, and that's what I was aiming
definitely
for.
Not insulting. If Donovan were here, it would be like his goal song is Love Story by Taylor Swift or something.
There you go. Interesting. His personal goal song would be Freestyle by Lil Baby because it's full of energy and contains interesting words, as does he. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger joins us today.
That song. That's the one that put him on the map. That was his big breakthrough.
That was the riser, right? It was like number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah, I wish I could play it. I'm certainly not in the. I know it's not in the system because I've looked.
Do you know, Declan? I have at times when I'm going to reference Lil Baby in regard to you on this show, I have read some of the lyrics. I don't think any of those lyrics, sir, are what I would consider radio friendly.
Not getting a lot of airtime. No. What are you going to do, right? That's the price of greatness, I guess.
When I was young, there was an artist named Millie Jackson. Millie Jackson. Fantastic singer. And most of the lyrics were okay, but she would do a lot of live albums. And her ad-libs a little off. You know what I mean? Probably not going to see radio play. All right.
May I also ask quickly? I forgot to tag you, so apologies. But if you could retweet the show tweet,
this involves
I
me
forgot
doing
to tag
work
you
today.
So that's my fault.
So first of all, I gotta find you where the hell you are on the internet, and that's hard because you don't show up ever. You didn't tag me, so who can I go to? Sports 1440.
Sports 1440 should have the retweet.
All right. Wow. It would have been so much easier if you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy? I messed up the first time, the Sports 1440 spelling, and then the second time didn't tag you. So kind of 0 for 2, but what do you
I am trying to find this, sir, and it just won't show. There, is that it?
Let's hope.
Today on the Lowdown, Rumors, Mamma Mia, Iceman Cometh, and Jason Krueger.
That's the one.
All right.
That's the
one.
There
we go. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look at my hair, okay? I know this is vain. All right, looks okay. I mean, it's getting long. Think I should get a haircut soon?
Yeah, probably. I got a haircut. It feels great. It's about to be summertime now. Like you need to let the flow breathe.
I will be honest with you. I'm not getting my haircut right now because, in all honesty, my dog is old and she's a little bit grumpy, and the people who usually cut her hair don't want to cut it. So I've got a long-haired dog who I feel really badly for, and I can't get her haircut. I probably have to figure out how to cut it myself. And so I am not cutting my hair until I get Ziggy's haircut, because that's the kind. I'm with her. We are as one. Okay, here it comes. Here's the lines. This is via Jason Krueger saying, expect this lineup tonight. Things can change, but it's encouraging because there's a couple of cats who were out and now they're in. McDavid will center Savoy and Hyman. We talk about young players becoming foundation pieces. This is a major spring for Matt Savoy after a major winter. He's emerging as not just the top 6, but a possible top line winger. What does that mean? Well, right now he's replacing Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Maybe in a couple of years, he will move over to the right side when Zach Hyman begins to slow, right? That's what you have to have this. It's the succession plan has to happen. And with Matt Savoy, he's like the first bell, along with second line left winger Vasily Podkolzin. He's playing with Draisaitl and Kasperi Kapanen. That line, if it hums, That's a big deal because Kapanen is not a useful player in a lot of setups in this lineup. But when he plays with Draisaitl, he elevates his game. And he has consistency as a problem. He's worked on it this year. He was fine. Then he got hurt. He got hurt a little bit again, and he came back, and he's not been the same. Look for him. If he has a big game tonight, that could be huge for your Edmonton Oilers. Dickinson was with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Roslovic. This could be a solid scoring line. They're going to play third-line minutes, and there's skill on that line. Roslovic has a lot of it. Nugent, brilliant two-way player. They could slide him up if needed. But that's a good line. And then Henrique will be joining the Doc Frederick line. And it's the talk of the town, and why not? This is a terrific unit. They forecheck like demons. They are just incredible. And Henrique will complement that with maybe with a little skill scoring and a veteran savvy, we'll call it. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Murphy, Wallman, Emberson, Ingram. This is basically the optimal lineup. And you get it for game one. I wrote in The Athletic today, in game one a year ago, the lines and pairings, they were not strong. They had Nugent-Hopkins on a line with two guys who were, I called it the wing and the prayer line. Trent Frederick, who could not skate. He'd had a high ankle sprain in just a little bit before the playoffs. And Jeff Skinner was a player who just never fit in to this team. And that was a big line they were counting on, and they counted on it for 5 total minutes. These lines seem to have logic and reason behind them, and all have had some success. And I want to reiterate something that I talked about earlier today on the blog, because I think it is one of the keys to this organization and how they are approaching this year, and it is different than a year ago, okay? In the final 11 games of the NHL regular season, the Oilers scored 37 goals and allowed 25. And the most important number there is the 25. Hell, boys and girls, the Oilers scoring 37 goals in 11 games, that's routine. Man, that happens all the time. But 25, that's the thing to key on. That's incredible. Exceptional. They're playing like they're Dave Keon. I love it. Can they continue it? That's the big question. And can they avoid Radko Gudas? Because Radko is filthy, and he's going to prove it tonight. All right, boys, as we set up for the big game tonight, Anaheim and the Oilers, what are your thoughts?
It's going to be interesting.
Josh there, by the way.
This is Josh.
Hey.
That was Declan that said this was Josh. Anyways, not important.
So interesting.
Yeah, I know. Riveting radio. Anyways, anything can happen. That's really where I'm at. I like the way that the Oilers lines look. This is, as you said, optimal. However, I think this is just going to be. I think it's going to be a shootout. Game one. I think this is going to be an absolute gun show. And I've believably to the listeners, probably. I see a Ducks win tonight.
Okay.
Just man, not realizing how big the moment is.
Wow, that's
and they just keep doing what they've been doing all year.
That's kind of a verbal counter trade.
I guess so. But then, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Oilers are still going to win the series. Gentlemen sweep them, whatever. But I think this is just going to be, all right, the Ducks, here they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I've said this. I think they will win the series 4-0. I don't really see a Ducks path to victory, even in a game, because we've talked about, listen, Oilers team defense has been very inconsistent. It's been very up and down, but they can turn it on. Like Anaheim can't even really. They don't have a lot of team defense. I know they got a good goalie back there, but when the team defense is that bad, Edmonton Oilers fans can attest to this. Sometimes it doesn't always matter. I don't think they have as much as I like some of their young players, Gauthier, Seneki, Carl, like they got some good young players. They don't have a game breaker. I don't see them winning a tight game. I don't see them winning a shootout type game. I just don't see a path to a victory for a game for the Ducks in this one. But interesting notes about the lines today. First time this season that all 19 of these guys will play in the same game.
Yeah, it's optimal.
Yeah.
I think based on what the coaching staff was looking at, we've got comments about Josh Szymanski playing, but Henrique is the veteran.
Yep.
You start with the veteran and then you back. I think that Szymanski would be just fine on that fourth line, but I'm not terribly surprised the coach went with Henrique.
In theory, I wouldn't mind Roslovic up on that second line with Draisaitl and Podkolzin, and then Kapanen down there with Dickinson and Nuge, but you know, I'm not going to get up in arms about it.
No, and look, I will bet you that Josh Szymanski plays in this series and quite a bit this year. I believe that to be true. He's really shown well, And this team needs to have youth, and there's going to be injuries. So as much as people are upset about it, that's fine. You know what? That's cool, because that shows that you have passion. And I'm sure he wanted to be in the lineup, but you hired all these veteran cats to come in and do this job. And I'll give Stan Volman credit. I thought going and getting a puck moving right defenseman was the right play for Darnell Nurse. Turns out that they went and got the opposite. They went and got themselves a shutdown defender in Connor Murphy, and it's worked out just fine. So giddy up. I thought when they brought in Tristan Jarry, he'd be the starting goalie, but a smaller deal they made earlier has turned out to be the one that worked. Connor Ingram is the de facto starting goaltender for tonight. The third line looks like they can score. The fourth line is built for the playoffs. You know, the key to that line is the wingers, not the center. The Frederick can finally skate well enough to get to the play. And this kid, Doc, I remember when the deal happened, I was like, oh, they got another young guy that they're, going to try to make Max Jones or something. And as it turns out, they had an idea in mind, and it's a vicious forechecking group that is going to punish the defenseman from game 1 to game either 4, as Declan has suggested, or as I've suggested, game 6. I'd never take 4 games now, not in today's NHL. The margins are pretty thin on these players. The luck of the draw will usually mean one team wins, so something goes in off somebody's ass, and the referees in Anaheim will have an impact. I don't think they'll win tonight, as Anaheim will win tonight, as Josh had suggested, but I think they'll win one of the Anaheim games for sure, and maybe they'll win another along the way. This is going to be a very, 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 very fun series. They've all been fun so far. Did anybody really worry about anyone's actual safety in the Mammoth Vegas game? The stick work, the physicality, and the I thought, holy mackerel, they must have the ambulances lined out back 6 at a time. It was wild stuff last night.
Did you see Nick Dowd after the game? He was pretty I get it's professional sports and it's the playoffs and you're animated, but he looked like he was taking it a little over the line with some of the things. If you're an astute lip reader and you saw what he was saying, that looked a little I don't know. Okay, man. Are you sure he's saying all that?
I read his lips and he asked, would you like sugar and cream in your coffee, is what I had heard. But maybe I'm wrong.
This is the miscommunication. I thought he was talking about tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Could be.
All right. Yeah. Well, there's a whole video on tea on the internet. Make sure you watch that.
Buffalo, Boston.
That was a game.
So much
I was
fun.
watching. I love the Bruins. I do not believe in this version of the Bruins. I think they've done it with smoke and mirrors and Swayman. And last night they did it with Swayman until 8 minutes left, and then bada boom, bada bing. The
Paige
Sabres
Thompson,
boy.
2 goals in 3 minutes and 45 seconds,
Yeah, it was
right?
wild. Just wild.
Unreal.
That series has such Game 7 vibes to it, as far as I'm concerned.
But I'm so happy for Buffalo fans, man. That is so good.
The place was rocking.
The crowd pops were wild. They got up to 110 dB on I think it was the first goal.
Say what you will about the city, about whatever, they do sports well there, man.
Oh yeah, and they've no sports city in North America has had more heartbreak. The Sabres in 99 and 75, and then the 4 Super Bowls. And they love their sports, and they also sing the Canadian anthem, which I think in today's world we should respect Buffalo for doing that. That's very cool that they do that.
Listen, if you've never been to a game in Buffalo, got to get out there. It was electric factory.
In the NBA, the 76ers almost won. It was so close. I thought, boy, just if they get another 5 minutes, I think the 76ers would have won that game. Maybe not. They lost by 32. It was,
for anyone who did not watch the game, it was not close.
It was bad. Good weekend of ball all around, honestly, in those closer matchups. And then also the 1-8 Magic taking over the Pistons.
And they won, by 10 points or something.
They won.
Yeah.
They won.
I can't believe that, man.
Straight up. It was honestly, it was a great weekend of ball. It was a great weekend of sports. Deck and I were talking about it.
Can we talk about LeBron a little?
LeBron had an unreal game. 41 years old.
Yeah.
What is it? 19 points. How many boards did he have? 14.
Sounds
Craziness. I love it.
9 assists, 2 steals.
Now there is a downside to that. The Lakers used their Luke Kennard game ammo in game 1 without Kevin Durant for the Rockets. You would have liked to save that for game 5 or 6, but
I think they might have still needed it. They needed that Luke Kennard game. However, who knows? Luka, they say he's eyeing a comeback in this round. He will be back.
All right.
Can he return before Kevin Durant? That is the $1 million question.
Okay. So we got to, you know what? We're going to have to carry everything for the hour. And then we don't have to carry anything in game 2. We've just got guests.
I don't have to work for a whole hour.
What's harder for you to do, the guests or the no guests?
for us,
for both of you.
I'm cool with what I just like. As corny as this sounds, I just want to put on the best show possible.
See, that's the way I feel.
So,
I don't care. That's why when you guys verbally abuse me for a half an hour and I'm over here silently crying, I don't say anything because I think the listeners like that.
Yeah, like when we scream and roll our eyes at each other and like go under our breath, it's all theater. We're doing it for the good of the show.
Sure. And you know, I mean, we should cut back on the times that you say to both of us, suck it up, bitch.
Yeah.
Declan, you might want to stop doing that.
I'll cut it out.
Okay. So on the way at 1:00 today, we have Eric Stevens from The Athletic. If you're going to talk about the Anaheim Ducks, it's best to talk to Eric. We'll talk to Jason at 1:20 today about the Oilers, and then we'll amalgamate the Oilers, the Ducks, the entire NHL playoffs. And we'll do that with Rachel Krychak at 1:40 today. You have Declanations coming up at 12:40. I'm assuming it's Mama MMA, but we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I'm not going to, I know your audience. It's game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, so I'm not going to take a long time talking about it. But there was an event in Canada this past weekend. A lot of Canadians showed out on the card, so I want to give them some love.
All right. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with
out of Nugent Hopkins. Kicks it back to Bouchard. Back to Nugent Hopkins. McDavid. Game 1-0. Corey Perry. It's the play along the boards by Nugent Hopkins. The no-look backhand pass by Perry. And then as they've done so often, 97. Seducing in. Midpoint Hudson. Down low. So overtime. Winner for Uri Slavkovsky. Over 2 outstretched arms. No, there goes Wembanyama. Took it off the glass, put it behind his back. Trying to extend a 7-0 rush. Spinning on offense. Oh, Wemby. Over 2 outstretched arms. No, there goes Wembanyama. Took it off the glass, put it behind his. Over 2 outstretched arms. No, there goes Wembanyama. Took it off the glass. Put it behind his back. Rhino sends a 7-0 rush. Oh, Wemby. Mid-point Hudson. Down low. Slipped out. Overtime. Winner.
Advertise on Sports 1440 at work. Grow your business. Get your name out there. Shoot our ad team an email. Gregor@sports1440.ca. Let's get to work for you.
A relaxing day at the lake without a Toyota Tundra can be noisy. But when you get a Tundra at your local Toyota dealer, you can take advantage of up to 11,000 pounds of towing capacity to find a quieter spot. Ah, that's better. Lease a 2026 Tundra 4x4 Double Cab SR5 from $149 weekly for 60 months at 5.29% APR with $8,799 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Debt can take over your life. The stress, the constant worry, it can feel like you're drowning. When people come to see me, they're often anxious and feeling hopeless. But when I explain how I can help them get out of debt, those feelings melt away. I'm Parveen Middleton, licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I will create a personalized debt relief plan so you can move forward with confidence. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Breaking down the fine art of sports, one rep at a time. The Lowdown with Lowetide. Thanks for checking out Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Monday edition of the show brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's Truck Month. Check it out at wolfgmcbuick.com. We have a very busy show. Declanations coming up, Mama MMA, and more, including Oilers talk at 12:40. Eric Stevens from The Athletic talking Anaheim Ducks at 1 o'clock. Jason Gregor at 1:20 talking Oilers and weekend NHL action. And then we'll have Rachel Krychak at 1:40, different time today because she's busy doing things behind the scenes for Betalytics, but she will join us at 1:40 today, talk about the playoffs and exactly what's going on. All right. It is time for Rumors, brought to you by Great Canadian Solar. Great Canadian Solar has been helping homeowners and businesses harness the power of the sun for 15 years. Invest in solar and yourself. GreatCanadianSolar.com. I want to get this out of the way right away at the beginning. So we're going to do lines, and then we're going to read Jay's text because I think it's central to what a lot of people are feeling and saying today. And I do have my own opinion, imagine that. So we will talk about that. So if you're wondering about the lines and pairings, this is via Gregor, who will be live with us at 1:20 today. The top line is what you would expect, as always. Savoy on left wing, Hyman on right wing, and Connor McDavid in the middle. Gee, that works. So much talent, and Savoy has shown to be a really good two-way player and a great complement to those two veterans. Draisaitl is back, baby, with Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen. Kapanen had a hard time finding a home without Draisaitl, but he's very effective with the big man. And so they're cycling and they're suppression and they're hitting and they're keeping the puck 200 miles from danger. That line should be very good. An important game for Kapanen. He's a very fine player when he's going well, has battled inconsistency, but when he's not hurt this year, when he's had opportunities to play enough to get into the groove, he's been a very fine player, and he could be a big part of this playoff run. The third line has real skill. Dickinson with Nuge and Roslovic. Dickinson back after injury. That line will have an opportunity based on they're just rolling four, so they'll get a third line, third pairing option a few times against the Anaheim Ducks. They should be able to really move and wheel on that, and there should be some scoring done by the third line, which is welcome. Fourth line, you know about Adam Henrique in the middle now over Josh Szymanski. Szymanski with Doc and Frederick, the wingers. The wingers are vitally important. They get on the forecheck and they hammer and they rattle and they hum, and they have been scoring as well. Henrique will replace Szymanski, veteran presence, lots of penalty killing. So guess what? That's what you see. Now, people are not happy, and I'll read the text here from Jay. Meritocracy is a system where power, rewards, and positions are assigned based on individual ability, effort, and achievement rather than social class, wealth, or nepotism. It promotes fairness by rewarding talent, but is criticized for assuming equal opportunity and potentially justifying inequality. Someone send this to the coach. Let's get Szymanski in there. Here's my response to that. I totally get it. But, as fans, and I think as individuals and as media, you have to choose which hill you're going to die on. Not every young player is, Connor McDavid. Szymanski has been brilliant with those two. He really has. But we have to assume that it is easier for this team to run Henrique on the special teams than it is Szymanski. And we have to assume that at some level, the coach is trusting the veteran Henrique over Szymanski. You may not, but he does. And so I see the issue as being one of being critical of Chris Knobloch, and I get it and I understand it. And I wrote in The Athletic today, it's curious because it will be criticized if it doesn't work out. But I think you have to acknowledge that almost every coach would look at this as, I'm getting my veterans in. We're starting with the lineup I wanted to start with. I want to see how this plays out. Love Szymanski, can bring him in for game 2. But this was optimal. They have their lineup. The only thing you could be critical of, Jari was acquired to be the starter. He's not, but that's because Connor Ingram outplayed him. Now, there'll be adjustments as the series goes on and as the year goes on. But I think you need to keep your powder dry, hold back the water. The rage is a little misplaced because we're talking fourth line center here. And I like Szymanski a lot. And I think he's going to have a long career in Edmonton. And I think he's going to be a really good player. But this isn't a mortal sin. This is a decision. And if you don't like the coach, that's fine. But he's taking them to 2 Stanley Cup finals. Do you think the guys will, this is from Sizzler, do you guys think that they will play Jari if Ingram struggles, or does Pickard go instead? I would say Pickard should be number 2. They'll go with Jari unless he's hurt, unless he's really not, or he's so overwhelmed by the moment, which I really don't believe would be the case, that he's unable to perform. A la Jack Campbell when he was here. I don't think any of those things are true. I think they brought up Pickard because you want to have everybody here that you can have here, and they, if injuries or whatever occur, you don't have to use an e-bug. I think it's just good business, and Pickard has been a big part of this team for a long, long time. There may be some of that involved too, and that's all fair. By the way, we did mention last week that the New Jersey Devils hired Sonny Mehta as their general manager. Looks like Tom Fitzgerald is now getting an interview with Nashville. Don't know how it's going to, long way to go, right? And there are rumors that Toronto is closing in on their general manager. A lot of business to do, so you can understand why they'd want to, get rolling on it. We will tell you that the Edmonton Oilers play the Anaheim Ducks tonight. 6 p.m. is the pregame with Mr. Walker, steady talker. It'll be 6 o'clock for these early games against Anaheim. And, of course, Jason Gregor will join us at 2 o'clock today, 1:20 today on this show, and then 2 o'clock today with the pregame, okay? So we've got you covered 6 ways to Sunday, and we will have a lot of coverage for that. The Islanders have hired Corey Schneider as AHL goalie coach, which is kind of cool. There was a game in Major League Baseball today already because of the Boston Marathon. The Boston Red Sox played Detroit and won 8-6. It was a wild game. Sonny Gray was hurt and out of the game, and neither starting pitcher was around very long due to the injury to Gray on the Boston side, and not really the outing that Jack Flaherty was hoping for. 3.1 innings, 6 walks. Weird year, man, in baseball. There's lots of walks. There's lots happening. home runs are down, or at least the last time I looked at they were down, but they had a big weekend in home runs, and maybe they've closed the gap. Mick Abel has been placed on the IL by the Minnesota Twins. He had a great outing last week, and now this week he is out with inflammation of the elbow. That cannot be good. We mentioned earlier, not long ago, about the NBA playoffs. We didn't get a chance to go into depth too much, so I'll start with you, Declan. What were the outstanding points or one or two things that you saw in the NBA this weekend that really stood out to you?
Oh, man, just quickly, series by series. Thunder, Suns. Suns do not have the guns. The Thunder are just way too strong. They're better everywhere. They can take your best player out of the game. Like it feels like it's wraps. Thunder, Spurs, Blazers. Blazers threw some punches like I thought they may, but again, Spurs, they have the second best player in the world. What Portland does, they get the ball to the rim, and San Antonio has a 7'5" rim defending, just beyond menace there. Does not suit their game plan at all. Nuggets, Timberwolves, unbelievable game. Going to be the best first round series. Nuggets come away with that one. Lakers, Rockets. I was surprised to see the Lakers get the win. Luke Kennard shot the lights out, but there was no Kevin Durant for the Rockets. In the East, Magic, Pistons. That's the big one. The Magic, they didn't just get hot. They didn't just have the Pistons go cold. They beat up on the Detroit Pistons. It was really impressive to watch. In the 2-7 series, Boston, they just walked all over Philadelphia. The Knicks, Hawks. I went a little bit closer than the scoreline suggested. I think the Knicks are just too talented for the Hawks, although I do like what the Hawks are building. And then Cavs beat the Raptors. So tough one for all the Canadians, but as Josh said, maybe expected.
Yeah, I came away from the Raptors game the same way. I left here at halftime because it coincided perfectly with the second hour of Hoop City with Paul Sir every Saturday, 10 to 12, just so you know. So we watched the first half. I finished uploading the podcast and everything and went into halftime. I was like, great. Was going out for lunch, got to the bar. We were halfway through the third, and all of a sudden the Raptors are down 19. I'm like, what the hell happened here? So wasn't too pleased with that. They sort of like that score might have been closer than even the game suggested, or farther apart than even the final score suggested. Timberwolves Nuggets. I love this series so much. Jokic, greatest player on the planet, not even debatable. I know I've been a big Wemby guy all year, but that's he is undoubtedly the greatest player on the planet. And then, yeah, like LeBron James had a cool stat line, and he had a great game turning back the clocks. It was super fun to watch. But yeah, I was sort of in and out of a lot of different games this weekend, mixing with the Stanley Cup playoffs and Blue Jays baseball,
which was also fun.
Yesterday's game was incredible.
Yeah.
I had a nap after the fourth inning because I went, oh, well, this game's over. And they only got one more run or something. So I didn't miss much.
A.J. Brown apparently after June 1st is on his way to New England. Do you like that matchup?
Yeah, I think we've all been talking about it here at the station since the season ended. So what is that now? Like 2.5 months? Eagles season ended 3 months ago.
Pardon me?
Eagles season ended 3 months ago.
Well, when did the Bengals season end?
Oh, like a week before that. Yeah, he's a variable. He played for Vrabel already, so I think it's a good fit. I'm interested to see what the package is going to be now that we have a month and change to speculate what that whole package is actually going to be now that it's confirmed. But
it'll be good. Vrabel's had a quiet off season.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey,
not a lot happening.
That's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, he's just a simple, quiet guy.
Are we excited about anything draft-wise?
Well, yeah, the Bengals traded away their 10th overall pick for Dexter Lawrence. So now the Giants have 2 top 10 picks.
Which upsets it sort of sets up possibilities anyway, right, for the Giants?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sets up lots of stuff for the Giants. It also means that on the Bengals side that they're actually doing something to help out Joe Burrow. Thank God. And yeah, so I'm interested to see what the Giants will do because I think it's been mentioned enough that like maybe this year's draft class is not the strongest draft class in the world. So if you're the Giants, do you think about packaging both of those picks to trade away and get something else?
I had one question. I'm not in any way questioning the brilliance of the Bengals front office.
Sure. We know how brilliant they are.
But they signed him to a 1-year deal, and now they've got him through 2028.
Correct.
They would have given up a pick that would be foundational, hopefully.
Yeah.
For several years.
Sure.
Are you at all worried about the length of time you would have Dexter Lawrence?
No, because as we've seen with Joe Burrow, he is hurt. He can get hurt very easily. And so you sort of have to capitalize on the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase window that is right now. And so Dexter Lawrence, I know for a fact, is a guy that can come in and immediately affect the way their defense plays. And maybe it'll be helpful for a guy like Shamar Stewart playing with Dexter Lawrence. Maybe that opens up the field for him. I do not know. But I like the win now move versus the, all right, well, we've got this, we picked this guy 10th overall and you know, he's 1 year away from being what we think he'll be versus getting an all-pro D lineman and Dexter Lawrence.
There you go. All right, it's 12:36 on the way. Declanations, and we'll have Eric Stevens from the Athletic at 1 o'clock. At 1:20, Jason Gregor and Rachel at 1:40 today. Very busy show with Declan up next. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Craving a dining experience that rises above the rest? Head to Summit Restaurant in the Silent Ice Center, just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Savor exceptional house-made pizza, delectable entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails in a stylish, modern atmosphere. Perfect for a casual meal or a special night out. Summit offers a refined experience where every bite and sip reflects our dedication to quality. Elevate your dining experience. Make Summit Restaurant your destination tonight.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lottery, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Expand your brand with Fusion Promo Marketing. Fusion is your trusted partner for all things branded merch and apparel. Thousands of products perfect for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or on the McDonald's app and dig into instant
Did
savings.
you hear about
Plus,
that robot
points
runner
towards
that
Free
ran a
McDonald's.
half marathon?
Now that's
in
what I
record
call
time?
A double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your
Oh,
door.
really?
Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value for a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off a $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings. Until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
For many families, the stress of divorce can throw your life out of balance. The loss of a relationship,
Did the
ongoing
Onion buy
conflict, mounting
Infowars?
legal bills, and uncertainty about the future can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, that
Hi,
would
I'm
be
Corey
Onion
Anderson with
headline?
Fairway Divorce
Guys.
Solutions. At Fairway, our team helps
plan
you
to
restore
turn it into a
balance through
comedy
mediation, negotiation, and a unique step-by-step process. With 2 offices in Edmonton dedicated to serving your needs, our goal is simple: to help you navigate a path back to peace and clarity. Visit us today at Fairway Divorce.
Mr. Rooter sees a UFO.
Mr. Rooter says 1 plunge, 2. What's this? A UFO? An unidentified floating object. It's beginning to glow and levitate.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter. You have freed us from the gravity of the white hole. Humanity will be spared.
Wow! People aren't going to believe this when I put it in our new commercial.
If you want to believe in a plumber, call Mr. Rooter.
I'm good to go.
With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. MortgagesToGo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say,
I'm good to go.
Hey, it's Jamie from Green Drop Lawn Care. They may be teeny tiny, but chinch bugs can completely devastate your lawn or garden. If you have yellowing grass that doesn't improve with watering, you may already have them. At Green Drop, we'll identify them, treat them, and help you recover from the damage before it's out of control. Stop chinch bugs cold with Green Drop Lawn Care, Canada's lawn expert since 1979. Find out more and get started at greendrop.com.
It's here. The Ford, it's a big Not yet. The Ford, it's a big deal. Oh, guys, just wait. The Ford, it's a big deal event is on. Really? Now. Hurry in to lease a 2026 F-150 STX with black adherence package from $237 bi-weekly at 0% APR for 36 months with $54.90 down. That's like $119 a week. The Ford, it's a big deal event. Visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
$14.40 for Wolf GMC Buick. $12.42. Time for Declanations, brought to you by Fairway Divorce Solutions. The clear road to a new life. There's a better way. Fairwaydivorce.com. And we're early today because Rachel's coming up at 1:40. And thank you very much, by the way, for moving your segment 1 hour earlier.
Oh, yeah. No
Less
problem.
prep time. You know?
Yeah, no, tough.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, hey, happy to do it.
So I'm assuming you're going to talk about Mama MMA.
I am.
All right.
Is there a liner?
I'm sorry. Did you want me to read it again?
Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. This is my problem. This is my problem.
Declanations is brought to you by Fairway
This is
Divorce
my
Solutions.
fault.
The clear road to a new life. There's a better way. Fairwaydivorce.com. Did you hear it
I'm
that time?
starting to think I might be the problem.
lot of your faults going around these last few days.
It
here.
hasn't been
Here's
my
what I
best
love
last like
is
5
because
working days.
It's like you thought the old man screwed up, and the old man screws up all the time.
I think this is the
But
second
this one time
in the last week that you've said, "Did you remember to read the liner?" And he said, "Yes."
My head's fully focused on playoff hockey.
Yeah,
I don't know. You know
Not
what?
great when you're going into a segment about MMA.
Shout out.
Yeah, how much?
Now this is going to sound kind of funny. Shout out Squiddy68 MOC watching on the YouTube stream. He says hi from Copenhagen. Waking up at 4 a.m. for the game. Go Oilers, go! So shout out to you, Squiddy68 MOC.
Which, I mean, very popular name.
The most popular name in Denmark.
It's that, and then Muhammad.
Denmark.
Yeah, he's from Copenhagen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to belabor this point. It's game 1 of the playoffs, but the UFC was in Canada this past weekend. I thought it was very cool. 4 Canadians got wins. 5 Canadians did get losses, which isn't the best. But Mike Malott, welterweight, you got one. You got a real contender. The Neil Magny loss was bad. It was brutal. He's rebounded since then. He's put together a nice win streak. He just knocked out Durinho in the fight this past weekend. Durinho, not near the fighter he was 5-6 years ago, but always kind of a tough out. He actually ended up retiring after this fight. But Mike Malott, you are a certified welterweight contender here. You're from Canada. It's very, very cool to see. Charles Jourdain, since moving down to bantamweight, has been very, very effective. He beat a really, really tough opponent in Kyler Phillips this past weekend at the co-main event. And Jasmine Jasudavicius, she moves to 15-4. She was number 7, I think, in the women's flyweight rankings. Going into this one, I'm sure she'll get a little bump now, or maybe not, stay around there, but still really, really cool. And Melissa Croden as well. Women's bantamweight fight, she won. So shout out all the Canadians on the card this past weekend. Shout out Winnipeg for showing up and showing out, and shout out especially to Mike Malott on that performance.
There you go. Good stuff.
It was a lot of fun.
Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like you know your audience, right? I don't want to go too hard on a fight night from
but
Winnipeg
we
this past
want to
weekend.
super serve the people who love that. It was in Winnipeg.
It
You
was.
said it was well attended.
It was well attended. The
Right.
crowd. It was the first time it had been in Winnipeg in 9 years since Rafael Dos Anjos and Robbie Lawler. A Canadian, obviously, like I said, co-main event. They both got wins. Mike Malott, lot of power in his hands. Really, really crisp striker. Durinho, I think this was his 5th loss in a row. Former title challenger. Really, really good fighter in his prime. Really, really special fighter back, like I said, 5-6 years ago. He is the peak COVID era fighter. Like if you turned on a fight night or a pay-per-view from COVID, from that era, like 2020 to 2021, Durinho was probably on it. So I wanted to give him some love. His career's over. Heck of a career. But Mike Malott, man, welterweight, you got one.
I guess COVID made people famous that maybe wouldn't have been, just because of things like that, where, you're watching Korean baseball and there's 11 fighters.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like fighting was like, that was the one sport that just like kept going. They did not miss a beat, probably because of how red Dana White is. But he showed out during that time. Like he was getting title fights. He was beating up Damian Maia. He was beating up Wonderboy Thompson. He was fighting Kamaru Usman. Like he had a really, really, really good peak.
When we talk about fair and generous, Dana White comes up a lot, right?
Well, he's given the fighters so much money,
right? And I mean,
hey, he gave Conor Ben
he's
$15 million to fight in Zuffa Boxing. I bet you guys don't even know who Conor Ben is.
He's living in a cardboard box himself, but he gives the money all away, which is just terrific.
A charitable individual.
You know what's weird?
Philanthropist is the first thing that comes
He
up.
actually is like this. I'm not going to bat for Dana White. He actually is charitable in a lot of things he does. Like, do you remember that girl, that victim of the Tumbler Ridge shooting out in BC?
Mm-hmm.
He like fully covered her surgery.
Oh man, that's cool.
And he does a lot of things like that. But when it comes to his business, he doesn't always share the wealth the same way. Which it's kind of a strange thing.
In today's world is really unusual. Most people who run empires are very generous with their employees. Extra time, 3 weeks holidays. It's really good that way.
But I'm just saying, like, it's weird that he's happy to kind of dole out money and help people out in a lot of areas, which to his credit, he does.
Yeah,
but
and that is good.
But then to like turn around, like, don't you want to kind of help out the people who make the product what it is? Like, it's just weird. I don't know.
There's the world is unfair for young people. That's all I'm saying. Greg from Spruce Grove. Hey, guys, love the show. Been a fan since 1979. His team reminds me of 2006. Ingram is like Rollison, Savoy like Pisani, Bouchard like Pronger. This time the Oilers get the unexpected cup. Hoagie from Spruce Grove. I'll tell you that I did the exercise on The Athletic today. It's an article that's up right now. And I'm just looking at last year's opening night lineup, and there was a lot of wing and a prayer, Nuge was out there with an injured Frederick, and Jeff Skinner, who did not, have a good year and was not, effective in any way with this Oilers team. I would say that this team, if they don't start shuffling lines too soon, some of the lines that opened game one spent 5 minutes in the playoffs together. And that is a problem. You have to be able to let these lines gel, It's like Jell-O. You ever make Jell-O? Got to let it set for a while. Then it works. But I think this team, I love the youth on the team. And even if they don't win it all, guys like Savoy will have a little extra experience. And I do think that this team, I don't think that they're not necessarily going to go as far as last year's team, but I think they're more interesting in a way. You can see the future here. And a year ago, you really were looking at the past, all the way back to, the early aughts with a guy like Corey Perry. People are texting the weirdest stuff in today. Boys, we seem to have missed the Mamma Mia song coming off the break from Greater Man G. I heard that. It's because we've changed the time. Maybe, I'm not sure, but we played a lot of ABBA, so
it was the time change.
Yeah.
Just another example of Declan dropping the ball this last 6 business days.
Speaking of which, I should mention this. Declanations is brought to you by Fairway Divorce Solutions, the clear road to a new life. There is a better way. Fairwaydivorce.com. Did you hear it that time?
Yeah, listen, if you're going to drop the ball on any segment, it might as well be your own, right?
Right. Do you think he's heard the segment, or should
What's the name of the segment again? I forget.
Pick should replace Jari's back. I don't know where you're getting that from, unless there's an injury.
That one I think is just thinking out loud, because we've got that in a lot.
Yeah, I like people are.
Well, what would you do?
I would, if Jari's healthy, he's the guy you acquired. And look, he lost the starting job to Ingram, but Pickard was no screaming hell in the AHL, and you have to have the courage of your conviction. You have to start as you mean to go. And they traded Skinner to acquire Jari to be the starter. And they gave Jari plenty of rope to be the starter, and Ingram beat him out for the job. Now, Jari hasn't played very much. But in the last 11 games, this team has tightened up like Archie Bell and the Drells, and they're playing much better. So even with Jari in. So I don't see, why make a controversy when there isn't one? This is just, I do not understand why Oiler fans are so angry at goaltenders. The Stuart Skinner thing was off the grid anger. It just was. And now he's not even playing and you're after him. I don't understand this.
And he played well in that Flyers-Pens game, by the way. He was the reason the Pens were in it.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, Skinner played well. Yeah.
That was a good game. I got yelled at for turning that game on, but I said, no,
Someone
we've got to turn this on.
tweeted his save percentage as like a gotcha, and you could tell they didn't watch the game because he played really well.
He had a great game.
Jenna, longtime listener, longtime happy listener. I said it this morning to Kevin Karius and crew. My biggest concern is Radko Gudas doing to Connor Leon what he did to sit at the Olympics in Austin after that. Well, and the other thing about it is they put the whistles away. This is NHL playoff hockey, so it's open season on everybody, and especially the stars. The NHL, unlike every other league available, ask the NFL quarterbacks, doesn't protect their stars. They don't care. And that is a problem. There's no doubt about it. But the Oilers do have some really tough guys, and McDavid and Draisaitl can take care of themselves. The Gudas play on Matthews was, what else was he trying to do? Give me an idea of what Gudas was trying to accomplish, aside from ending a season.
Honestly, if I were an Oilers fan, I would be less worried about Radko Gudas because he seemed genuinely like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe that was the outcome of what happened, especially because he goes and takes his licks for an entire 60 minutes against the Leafs the next time they match up. I'd be more afraid of Jacob Trouba.
Well, Trouba is a monster.
I would be more afraid of Jacob Trouba.
Dave Platten says, all of you predicted earlier this year the Oilers were going nowhere in the playoffs this year. Sticking with that?
Well, it's the first round.
I've said that I do not think the Oilers get to the Stanley Cup final, and I think they could lose. I know nobody wants to hear this, but have you watched Vegas lately? Like,
no,
they
stop.
are no.
No, I know.
You look at this team right now.
Right. I know.
They are playing really well. They finally got the goaltending. The coaches got them afraid for their jobs if they don't play well, and they're smart as can be. They're already playing playoff hockey. They've been doing it for a while. There's no room out there. Vegas Golden Knights are absolutely going to be a difficult out. I'm not saying they can't beat them, but I'm saying, the Oilers have been to the final 2 years in a row. Tough to make it 3 years in a row. Certainly, as an individual who makes a fine living describing and chronicling and memorializing the Edmonton Oilers' progress towards the Stanley Cup, I'd love to see it. That said, I don't know.
Okay, the other important thing to say here is the puck has not even been dropped in this series yet, so I'm not changing my opinion on anything.
You can't argue before the series? Why are we here?
Well, they're not going to go on a deep playoff run. We haven't. We don't know if they're going to be good in the playoffs. We don't know if they're going to be bad in the playoffs. Like
Josh. Hey, relax, man.
I just don't. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
So, I guess you don't think they're going very far then?
No,
that's what you said.
What do you think? What do you think is not going far?
I would say conference finals is far.
And you don't think they're going to be a conference finals team?
No.
I think they could lose to Vegas. I don't think that's an outrageous take.
I actually
I do not think that's an outrageous take.
No, I agree. I agree with you, Lowetide. I do agree with you. Josh is kind of saying the same thing, but he's saying it more condescendingly. So that's why I disagree with him.
Yeah, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. I cannot knock you for that.
High tide. If you think the Vegas series is dirty, you should have watched Philly. Crosby cross-checking people is out of control. Total dirty player. Where you been? He's 20-some years into his career.
Breaking news: Fork found in kitchen.
I love him. I endorse filthy. I do. I don't endorse neon knee hits. That I stop at. All right. We've got a very busy show. Eric Stevens coming up from The Athletic talking Anaheim Ducks. Jason Krueger will join us at 1:20, and we'll have Rachel at 1:40 in hour 2. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Time for an update with Declan Krueger.
The Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Custom Floors, Inc. Floors done right for homes and businesses. Visit the new showroom, 11577 149th Street, now open 6 days a week, Saturday hours from 10 to 2. And you can also, of course, visit customfloorsinc.ca and bring your next flooring project to life. Edmonton Oilers game 1 of their first round match against Anaheim tonight, 8 p.m. puck drop, of course. The lines per Jason Krueger as follows. Matt Savoy playing with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman. Pod Colson with Dry and Kapanen. Nugent Hopkins centered by Dickinson Roslovich on the other side. And Doc Henrique, Frederick the fourth line. Ekholm Bush the top pairing. Nursen, Murphy, Wallman, Emerson, and Connor Ingram in the starters. And at other games in the NHL, we'll see Philadelphia and Pittsburgh at 5. Ottawa and Carolina at 5:30. Minnesota and Dallas at 7:30. And then, of course, the Oilers game at 8. In the NBA, Toronto and Cleveland start the action at 5. Atlanta and New York at 6. And Minnesota, Denver at 8:30. All of those game 2s of the series. MLB action earlier today saw the Red Sox over the Tigers 8-6. The Blue Jays will be in action taking on the Angels at 7:38. Cease on the mound in that one. And around the sporting world, Dallas Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey has signed a 4-year deal averaging $7 million per season. Utah man Sean Dursey has been fined $5,000 for headbutting Rasmus Anderson. And Artem Zub a question mark ahead of game 2 for the Sens. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, the Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Want to invest in Alberta's workforce, fill your talent pipeline, and get funding? Careers, the next generation connects employers with motivated, pre-vetted youth through funded internships. Easy, impactful, and risk-free.
When you work with a group like Careers who have experience in that area, they can demystify and navigate all the complex steps and stakeholders that have to be involved.
Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
Got a car you're ready to part with? Find out what it's worth. Fast, easy, and totally free at Go Auto. We're talking top dollar trade-ins, whether it's a little worn or still rocking that new car smell. Just a few clicks, and boom, you've got your value. Text value to 780-777-7777 to start. That's value to 780 all sevens. Why guess what it's worth? Let Go Auto show you the money.
For over 50 years, The Brick has been proudly serving Canada. They love to save you more on everything you need for your home. Save up to 6 sets starting at just $99 and save up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, take 5 years to pay with 0% interest on furniture and mattresses. Taxes and fees due at purchase, OAC. Visit a Brick near you for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
A Saskatchewan boy who grew up loving and playing sports. At least we think he grew up. Listen to Kevin Carius weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings. Until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring backhoes, excavators, forklifts, man lifts, wheel loaders, packers, road reclaimers, skid steers, telehandlers, turf mowers, plus commercial trailers, and more. Info at maauctions.com.
Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete and septic tanks to blocks, precast water pads, Jersey barriers and aggregates. Farmers, contractors, homeowners. Plan your next project at BashawConcrete.com. Family owned. Over 60 years pouring. Bashaw Concrete Products. Once again, start here. BashawConcrete.com.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Industrial Auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring Japa Equipment Rentals realignment with 5 2022 to 2020 XCMG 250U, 300U, 360U, and 490U excavators. Search Japa at maauctions.com.
You matter. Your mental health matters, and you're braver than you think.
Not Alone is an organization focused on creating a space of acceptance and support through tough, meaningful conversation. Use code 1440 for 15% off at notalonecode.com. It's okay to not be okay.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
On Sports 1440, a little after 1 o'clock, we're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's Truck Month, featuring their best deals of the year. Ask about 0% financing plus extra discounts for Costco members. WolfGMCBuick.com. We have Jason Krueger coming up at 1:20 today. Rachel Krychak at 1:40 from Metalytics as we prepare for the big game tonight. Our pregame is at 6 o'clock this evening. And then, of course, we have Jason Krueger coming up at 2 today. The Jason Krueger Show, 2 until 6. Joined now by Eric Stevens from The Athletic covering the Ducks. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it as well. How are you guys doing?
Good. First time in 8 years back in the playoffs for the Ducks. I'm looking at this young roster. They're on the rise. They're going to be an annual playoff team. Did you expect this to be the year that they emerged and made the playoffs, or is this a little early?
You know what? It's a great question. And, I think from the outside looking in, there is the feeling that they are a year ahead of schedule. But if you talk to this group, and specifically, if you talk to owner Henry Samueli, when they hired Joel Quenneville, on that day, and Samueli, rarely speaks to the press, so it was certainly notable at the time. He said that it's time for Anaheim to be back in the playoffs. And so this has been a mission that they've been on, and they've been successful in getting here. Now, are they a Stanley Cup contender right now? No, this is probably the very first step here. It's really an initial step, and really going to be the first step for a lot of young players on this club who will be playing in their first Stanley Cup playoff game. But, it's almost like the beginning of a ride or so that they're just embarking on. And it will be fascinating to see how, especially a lot of these players, these youngsters that have not been through it, how they will experience it and react.
Yeah, I read your excellent article today at The Athletic about Leo Carlsson. It feels like his time is now. And when I was reading it, I got the feeling he's ready for the moment. He seems to be, solid on his feet and aware of his situation and confident. Do you get that from him?
There is an ease about him in being around him. Really, I think he just gives off that vibe in general. He's I wouldn't say happy-go-lucky is the type. There's just, an easy confidence about him. And then that was evident really on draft night. He's one to where he's very comfortable speaking, with the public. He's one that I think he relishes one being in the NHL, but not only that, has that kind of ambition to become one of the best players. Everyone else that is set around him feels like he has the kind of talent, and the ambition and the desire to become one of the true stars in this league. And so, this is really going to be that kind of atmosphere, certainly going up, against two established superstars, two of the best players in the world, to go up against them and be in this kind of big stage here. I think this is something that he really craves, and I believe that he really wants to do well.
You mentioned Joel Quenneville earlier. He was hired, I think, in May, like a year ago. And when it happened, I thought, this is a perfect match in terms of the what he brings in, and his career is basically defined by instant improvement. He's a detail guy. He obviously has ideas about what kinds of players he wants on the ice. This transition, though, the best players on this team are very young, and I know they picked up Carlson at the deadline. Was it a matter of pruning some of the younger players out, or was he able to get everything out of these young players and maybe a little more, and that might be a part of why they've had success this year?
You know what? I think what we've seen with Joel Quenneville is, he sees this roster. He sees this talent. It's that young talent that really attracted him to the job in the first place. And he's, fashioned a style to maximize that talent. I mean, this is, in some ways, it's a go for broke Anaheim Ducks club. They don't mind engaging in track meets, so to speak, because he knows that, there is some great skill and great speed that he has at his disposal. And so why try to suppress that? He maximizes it. Now, in some ways, that gets them into trouble, maybe playing that kind of sort of wide open, hockey or whatsoever. But, I think he really equates this situation to when he first started in Chicago and started that run with the Blackhawks, and how he had those similar type of young stars that were really just, developing into top players. He often equates that experience with what he's going through now. And I think this year has really been fun for him. Obviously, getting back in the game is certainly one thing, and he really wanted to do that after years away. But I think this year's also been really fun for him too, to see what's possible, with this Anaheim Ducks group, particularly those young guys that he's coaching.
On our radio station today, Radko Gudas has been a hot topic, and he is a player who thrives, and the game really comes to him during the playoffs. The referees allow more, and he's extremely physical. I call him filthy, but in the good way. It's not a bad way. The way the game is played, Radko Gudas can shine at this time of year. But he's not the only player. Trouba, there are others on this team that can play that style. How physical do you think the Ducks Oilers will be?
Well, you know what? That's a great question, because on the surface you figure that these are going to be two teams that are going to get up and down the ice, but there's going to be some physical play, and I think that you mentioned those examples. I think Anaheim is going to have an element of that to try to frustrate Connor McDavid to try to throw Leon Draisaitl off his game, to mix it up, certainly with guys like Darnell Nurse or Zach Hyman or whatsoever. This is one where, they're gonna have to find some sort of way to throw these guys off of their game. And, whether it's, big, just like I said, big hits, maybe stuff that's after the whistle or whatsoever. I think that you're going to have to, in some ways, they're going to have to do, some of that, and, to not allow them to just do whatever they want to do on the ice. Hey, you've seen many playoff series. You know that they're full of this. And I'm sure that the Oilers are going to give it right back to them. I'm sure that they're going to make Beckett Seneca and Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson, make them see that, it's whatever they get during the regular season, it's not nearly going to be as easy to get in these playoffs.
I can't let the conversation end without just asking you about Jackson Lacombe. I think that even now with his fine play for an extended period, he's a little bit of a under the radar talent, but he plays big minutes. I'm looking at Puck IQ, and he plays the most minutes against the toughest competition, and he comes out looking good. How important is Jackson Lacombe to this Ducks team?
Oh, I think he's going to be massively important here. You're right. Like you said, he plays all situations. There's 20, 25, 27 minutes a night or whatever. Certainly having John Carlson aboard to maybe take some of that load off is good and key for him, so that it is not all on his shoulders. But you're right. What's great about Jackson's game is not only the fact that he can obviously skate or whatsoever, but he plays with a calmness in his game. There's going to be four checkers coming at him, from all sides throughout this series. But he plays with the kind of pace to where he can turn up the pace when he wants to. He can slow it down as well. In some ways, he's evolved to a point to where he doesn't get too rattled out there or too phased out there. And you're going to need that, certainly, when you're in this series and when you're in this, the cauldron, so to speak. He's certainly going to be key. He's developing, very well, so far with Anaheim, but it's also going to be his first playoff game as well. So, it's going to be interesting. And I think he's one of those guys that Joel Quenneville will be really interested to see how he fares, because I think you can see he's not Duncan Keith, but he might be, this kind of version of Duncan Keith for these Anaheim Ducks right now.
Thanks so much for this. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate being on.
Oh, there you go. Eric Stevens, The Athletic, covering the Ducks. Interesting read. Has covered them for a long time and done very well. And I recommend that article on Carlson that's available up right now. This comes from Original Six Guys. So next year's Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday, second game. Oilers Flames Saturday home games will start at 9 p.m. Thoughts? Original Six, Lowetide will need a nap. Yeah. Like I don't like 8 o'clock starts. But you guys, you live for that, right? Like you just get home, have a bite to eat, then you're ready to go.
I work on the morning show. I hate 8 o'clock starts.
I mean, honest to God, guys, like I'm dragging my ass by the third period a lot of times. And I run a lot of numbers. I crunch a lot of numbers afterwards. So either I have to get up early the next day or do it that night. And, I'm going to have to move to Hawaii.
Schedule, by the way, is insane.
How so?
Just because of what time it is there when everything starts.
Can I tell you something? Back when Shaq was in LSU, I lived at West Edmonton Village, and we had ESPN, and they do Super Tuesday, Big Wednesday, whatever. And I'm not even lying to you. They would start on the far Atlantic coast, and they'd run I'm talking about at maybe my time 11 in the morning there'd be an NCAA basketball game on, and they'd run all day with NCAA basketball, and then when the time we got to the Hawaii game, it was God knows what time, and you could watch all day just live stuff. It was so good, man. When you're young and you don't have any responsibilities and you've got a television set and some beer in the fridge, college basketball is the best.
I think just sports in general is probably the best. Life might be at its peak when that's the situation.
Well, you've got a little bit of money and lots of time. And when you get older, you get a little more money, but you don't have as much time. You got stuff you got to do,
Got people that look at that require you.
Well, yeah. And you got, I got to go pay this or do this or, I'll tell you what, though. College basketball, it doesn't take long. The games aren't that long, right? So you can watch a slew of those things.
But hey, to our resident college basketball guy, Declan Krueger, knows all about
they can be long with the free throws at the end with the intentional fouling. That can really add some time to it.
Come on, boys. Afternoon naps from Greater Manjay. I have them. Oh, doctor, do I have them.
My girlfriend yesterday said taking naps is bumly because I was trying to vouch for naps. I love taking naps.
No, help me with this. Explain the word bumly.
Like, anti-naps.
Yeah, just like you shouldn't be doing that kind of thing.
I would never disagree with your girlfriend. I would never do that.
I would.
But I would just respectfully say to her, as she gets older, she might find that naps are beneficial.
No, I'm telling. Yeah, no, I'm so on your. Like I was trying to go to bat for naps hard.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you got to pick which hill you're going to die on, right? You know, you're going to screw up soon, and then you're going to need that extra goodwill time. You can't be arguing everything.
Die on the naps hill.
No,
it's not a bat. Like man, naps are.
Yeah, but you could just have your opinion, man.
But Tide, here's what the point is.
Lebowski.
This is one of those rare instances where if he dies on the hill, she sort of gives up and says, okay. In a few years, when she goes to take a nap, he gets to say, aren't naps the best? And then you would have won.
So
isn't that cool?
You're saying to me that in Declan's relationship with his girlfriend, he will win an argument.
If he dies on the nap hill.
I'm right a lot. So
okay, well, never mind. You know what? I retract my former statement with what ignorant stuff you just
real
said.
show of maturity on your part, Josh. On the way, Jason Gregor, Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All-Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All-Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrovacking, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep. Since 2009, All-Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All-Star Construction is all about.
He's a legend in the booth and a master on the mic. Lowetide brings the banter weekdays from noon to 2. Sports 1440 is where Edmonton talks sports. Get in the game. Text 833-401-1440.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings. Until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved heavy truck auction is this Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, man lifts, vacs, pickers, service, shunt, and tank trucks, plus more. Info at maauctions.com.
This May, look for your census letter in the mail. The information you provide helps plan services in your community that support employment, transit, education, healthcare, and more. It's easy to fill out and completely confidential. Find out more at census.gc.ca. Your census, your community, our future. A message from the Government of Canada.
It's here. The Ford, it's a big deal. Not yet. The Ford, it's a big deal. Oh, guys, just wait. The Ford, it's a big deal event is on. Really? Now. Hurry in to lease a 2026 F-150 STX with black adherence package from $237 bi-weekly at 0% APR for 36 months with $54.90 down. That's like $119 a week. The Ford, it's a big deal event. Visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit sports encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
To you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out. WolfGMCBuick.com. It's a 120, sunny, beautiful day. Spring is here. That's it. All the snow's gone, I think. I didn't see any yesterday. Little green grass here or there. Time for our headliner of the day. Playoff season is here, and the last thing you need is debt stealing the thrill. A free consultation with a local Faber licensed insolvency trustee could be the turning point. Visit faber.ca. Joined now by Jason Krueger. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent, Al. You?
Good. Did you whenever I was watching the hockey, I was, especially the Bruins Sabres game, I was like, oh my God, it can't get more intense. And then the next game was even more intense.
Yeah, you know what? Saturday was a good start, but I thought the games really ramped up even more on Sunday. That Boston Buffalo game, the Montreal game, even the Colorado LA game, and then Vegas big third period comeback. So the first 5 games, team who scored first one, and then that changed with the last 2 of the day in Buffalo and Vegas. So you know what? Hey, it's the playoffs, man. I can't wait for tonight. The building will obviously be louder. There's you got an exciting Ducks team who, haven't covered them, but you see them, like, they're big, right? Like, their forward group is really big. And, I still think they're in tough against Edmonton. I just don't think they have the defensive horses to match them yet. But this will be good experience. And I think down the road, this is a team to watch out for. It's still a few years. I think people forget, McDavid and Draisaitl didn't have instant playoff success. Like, it's hard to win in the playoffs, even for great players.
Yeah, and they've been away from the playoffs for years. I do think that their coach helps. Quenneville is a veteran guy. How important do you think he'll be in a series like this, where, as you say, and I agree with you, they're the second best team on paper for sure?
Well, he definitely helps for sure. But it was interesting talking to Joel today, and even guys like Kreider and Trouba, because they do have some guys with lots of playoff experience, right? Trouba, Kreider, and Gudas, and Granlund. And Trouba's like, hey, man, like you can say stuff, but he was talking about his first playoff experience way back in 2015 against, funny enough, the Anaheim Ducks. And he was in Winnipeg, and he joked about it. It's like, God, we could barely get out of our own end. Like, it was so much faster and more physical than I expected, even though, I thought it would be. And, everybody talked about it being big, but it was going to be, it was better and it was harder. So I would expect the same thing here for the Ducks. Like this, the Oilers, I don't think they're going to have a repeat of what we saw last year in Game 1 and Game 2 in LA, where they were brutal. I fully expect a much more professional effort tonight for the Oilers.
One good thing, and you tweeted it out, they've got the guys. I mean, the optimal lineup when you start the year and you add pieces here or there via trade. This is the veteran group that they would like to ice, and they're finally all ready with Dickinson and Draisaitl in the lineup.
Yeah. So, well, Draisaitl, I'm confident, like 100% he's playing. Dickinson, I'm probably like 99, but because I didn't have anybody can confirm it for sure for him, but I fully expect he's going to play too. I looked at Lazar and Szymanski, and they were putting themselves through the paces pretty good after the morning skate, which is usually a sign you're not playing. So, and really now the 18 skaters did play the one game together against Carolina, but Tristan Jarry started at goal. So this will be the first game tonight. All 18 skaters and the goalie will be in the lineup together. And you know what? When you say this is the Oilers' best lineup, I would argue it is. I know there's some people freaking out because Josh Szymanski's not in for Adam Henrique, and I'm like, just go compare their last 10 games, and you'll see why Adam Henrique is playing over Josh Szymanski. And I like Josh Szymanski. I think he's going to be a future guy. He'll probably replace Henrique next year in your lineup. But for now, you got a guy with more experience. You got a guy who's better on faceoffs. And I don't believe Szymanski was the guy who was running the fourth line. Frederick and Doc, tenacity was a big reason why that line had success, and I see no reason for that to change.
I wanted to ask you about that because, Doc has really added something. Frederick is healthy and he's skating well, but they rely on each other. The 1-2 punch is very effective because, and Oilers fans are used to watching the Oiler defense get, hemmed in because of the physicality and the roughhousing. And it's like, it's a race to a puck, but it's also a race to a collision. And over a series, I think that even though they were effective in the regular season, I think Doc, Frederick are sort of in their wheelhouse now in the playoffs because they're going to be pains in the ass starting tonight and going for as many games as they play.
Well, you definitely need that physicality, right? There's no question about that. And Doc, this will be his first playoff game. Obviously, Frederick's had some experience, and it is different. Like, Doc's going to have to control his emotion, right? Like, you want to run around, you want to hit guys, but you don't want to be Tampa Bay, right? Like their coach talked about, Tampa Bay cost themselves the game yesterday. Just too many stupid penalties, 4 of them in the offensive zone when you're trying to be physical. So, it is a fine line between physicality, Al, and then control chaos a little bit. So he'll probably be a little, maybe overexcited at times, but overall, just their tenacity, you need that. It's probably an element that I would say the Oilers haven't had on their fourth line in a while, right? They had different guys and different skill sets, but I like the speed and the tenacity and the fact that they've chipped in. They're not just out there doing nothing. They've scored some key goals.
I looked at the opening lineup against the Kings last year, and one of the lines was Nuge with Skinner and Frederick, who had just come off a high ankle sprain. We're going to see these guys play out, so let's not react to this. But I feel like the third line has a real chance to, there's skill. Roslovic is skilled. There's a chance they could outscore. The fourth line has a real purpose. I just feel like the structure of this team makes more sense than it did a year ago. Even though they're not as many veterans and you don't have Corey Perry, the feel of the roster kind of makes sense in terms of what roles each line is going to play.
Well, on paper, yeah, for sure. Now you got to see it, right? Like, what's Jack Roslovic going to do in the postseason, right? There is a reason why he didn't get the contract he wanted, because he kind of had a quiet postseason. I've talked to Jack about it. One of the big reasons he signed Edmonton was he wanted to prove to people he could be a playoff performer. So, not everybody's going to score a goal in game one. We all know that, but how's Jack Roslovic going to perform in the postseason, right? Connor Murphy, Jason Dickinson. Now Dickinson's been to the Cup final, albeit in the bubble, and Murphy's never played with fans in the stands. He can't wait. I've talked to him about it for the last week and a half. He's jazzed up. His parents are coming in. His father, Gord, of course, who played on that rat surprise team of the Panthers in '96, has never seen him play in the playoffs. And really, because he's been coaching so much, has never really seen him. So I think there's lots of excitement, and there's enough youthful exuberance with Savoy and Doc, and even a guy like Murphy, who's never really played in front of the fans, that Ekholm says you can feed off of that. But yeah, on paper, I like Edmonton's team. Like, I would argue that with the emergence of Murphy and Nurse as their second pair, that this team might be better suited to go deeper than last year's team, as long as they can stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the key. I felt in watching the Vegas game that they've got their 200-foot game down. Their goaltending is strong, or at least has been, recently. There's a lot of things that they have answered as a potential opponent to Edmonton as everybody moves on. How important is it? It feels like everybody's reasonably healthy. How important is health to this team, to this Oilers team? I feel like in some ways they have more depth than they did a year ago, but that can go away in a hurry, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Do they have more depth? Because, we don't know. Like, Josh Szymanski's been a great story, but I don't know what's his depth in the playoffs. We'd have to see until we see him there. I look at their back end. You get an injury, Stastny's in. Like, I don't know. That's great. Is he any better than Troy Stecher was last year? So I think Edmonton, when they're fully healthy, and that's the key. We saw it. You take Hyman out of your lineup, because if you lost Zach Hyman again, there's no one that can replace him. He just does so many things unique, scores goals, unbelievable forechecker, good on the wall, creates space for McDavid. Like, that would be hard to replace, right? But I think Edmonton, when they're healthy, of course, like any team, you can argue Florida lost when they had all their guys hurt in 2023. Edmonton had guys banged up in 24. They had guys banged up in 25. So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, hopefully it's not an injury that keeps someone out of the lineup, right? If you're in, you hope your key guys can still contribute if they're in. And that's a lot of times, that's why it's a battle of attrition now. The deeper you go in the playoffs, a lot of it comes down to how healthy you are.
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, I'm watching, highlights of Utah and the Mammoth last night, and it's constant, and it is next man up, but the skill level is not the same when you're using players from depth lines on the skill group, and that that's going to have an impact on every NHL team. What did you think of the Montreal game? You mentioned it earlier, but that's got to be, for a young team, a youngish team, that's got to be a great feeling to be able to win that one and set up that series. Who knows if they'll win it, but that's a great start.
Well, it was massive. Slavkovsky, what a performance by him. First guy ever to have a hat trick, all goals coming on the power play. And, Tampa Bay, John Cooper didn't mince his words. They cost themselves. They were the team that didn't play discipline. They didn't play with experience. And so experience is great, Al, if you use it to your benefit. Mm-hmm. And Tampa Bay didn't do it for one game. So now you kind of gave Montreal that game because Montreal had scored one goal, Josh Anderson, nice goal. But after that, they didn't generate a ton 5-on-5, but they murdered them on the power play, murdered them. So, and Tampa Bay's power play was just okay. So I think it's going to come down to, can Tampa Bay be more disciplined? And if you're Montreal, you're like, hey, let's try to get these guys rattled again. So I think it's a huge win for Montreal on the road in game one, where the experienced team wasn't playing like an experienced team.
Got a text here from somebody wondering about, worried about Wallman and wondering about his role on the team on that third pairing. He's a veteran guy. He has had some injury issues. What are your thoughts on Wallman, Emerson? Do you think if they struggle, they might fade that pairing, or how do you feel about it?
Well, I don't see how they're not going to change their top two pairs to worry about their third pair. No one in their right mind is going to do that. All that would happen is the third pair plays less minutes. Simple. Like, you look at teams have played. Look at Chicago when they won the Cup. Their third pair didn't play very much. So that's what would happen here. All that will happen is they will play fewer minutes. They're not going to switch up and try to put Wallman and somewhere else in the top four. Why the hell would you do that? So that pair is just going to have to settle down and play better. To me, it's just that simple. They haven't been awful, but they definitely can play a little bit better. And so I think it's, Wallman's the main guy on that pair, and he should be the guy to lead it. So he just, just make a little bit smarter reads and play within himself, and I think he should be fine.
Did you catch any of the Jays on the weekend?
I watched the first 3 innings of the game on Sunday. They blew them out, right?
Yeah.
But that's what the Jays do. They can hit for one game in a series, and then the other 2 games they can't hit for a lick. And that's becoming a trend here now, Al. Like, we're over 20 games into the season, and the Jays, they don't have much home run power at all. Like, even Vladdy, what's he got? 1 home run?
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a break. So, more injuries. Varsho now, that's not good. But, when Gosman and Cease are pitching, you got a chance, no question. But even them, I think it's only happened. I saw the tweet. There's 3 instances where you had guys with 30+ strikeouts and in 3 starts, no wins, no losses, and ERAs under 2. And it's both, they're 2 of the 3 because they're getting no run support. So the Jays offense, you got to do it for more than one game a series, right? Because that's basically been the pattern. One good game, Milwaukee, we score 9, then we score 1 in each game after that. And it was the same thing in Arizona until yesterday. So until they break that trend, Al, that's kind of what we're going to see from the Jays.
Well, there you go. What's coming up on the show?
Well, I think we're going to talk a little bit about game 1 tonight, the Oilers and the Ducks. Kevin Woodley, of course, we'll get a deep dive into Dostal, so you don't want to miss that. From Woodley, we'll talk about a few of the other series, and we'll talk a little NBA with the Raptors, but lots of NHL playoffs, man. This time of year, it's going to be playoff. It's great. Got some interviews with some Ducks and some Oilers as well, and Joe Quenville.
Love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
There you go. Jason Gregor, he's live on the radio at 2 o'clock today. By the way, pregame with Andrew Walker at 6 o'clock tonight. And then, of course, the postgame. And that'll be Donovan as a part of that group, right? Yeah. So on days that Donovan is working the late shift, do you see him at all? No. No, your days are your ships that pass in the night.
Yes, this is true. Maybe this week, maybe next week. I don't know. I have to take the Lowdown off because
what?
I know I won a bet, so I got to talk to him, and hopefully it doesn't land on an Oilers game day because I'll feel bad.
So I want to get this straight. You won a bet, and now you're taking the Lowdown off.
Yes. So what happened was we on the morning show did a big group bet essentially against each other to see who did not pick the loser out of the group for the Masters. So whoever picked the golfer that had the highest score, who finished lowest in the standings, has to take everyone else out that was involved in that for lunch.
Right.
So we're going to, I forget what the name of the Chinese buffet is, but we're going to a Chinese buffet. And obviously they're not going to wait until 2:30 in the afternoon or whatever to go have lunch, which means I have to take the Lowdown off.
Who's paying for it?
The Duke of Delburn. He picked Ludwig Oberg, who finished -3 at the Masters.
Which isn't bad.
It was going to be Schlemmer, but then Victor Hovland shot -5 on Sunday. to go to -4. And Oberg just sort of crumbled in the back nine.
There you go.
I was pretty close. Xander Schauffele was going to let me down until he turned it up.
I really enjoyed that tournament. It was fun to watch.
It's fun every year.
Yeah.
It's second best tournament in the world behind March Madness. If this was Declan talking, but it's Josh talking. It's the best tournament in the world.
World Cup, World Cup, World Cup.
Okay, you're right. Never mind. So it's
I
the
would
second
argue.
best.
I would argue for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Also, the Euro.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are an incredible playoffs, man. Like no one can be mad at that.
The only problem with Stanley Cup playoffs is the best series go early. The NBA, the best series go late.
Yep.
But I love it, man. I watched the game last night. I'm watching Vegas and Utah beat the living daylights out of each other. How are you supposed to be healthy at the end of 6 weeks of this? It's impossible. All right, are you ready? Rachel on the way next. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
It's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick, and we know trucks. And we have the best deals of the year right now. Some have 0% for 4 years. We have 0% for 6 years. That's on our #1 selling GMC Sierra half-ton crew cab, or the Elevation, the AT4, or Denali. Yep, 0% for 72 months. And Costco members get an extra discount on some of our SUVs. Pop in today and drive away smiling. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
When it comes to sports in Edmonton, Jason Krueger is a must listen. He brings you the inside scoop with guests from across North America. If it matters in sports, you'll hear it here first. Krueger rolls out weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports 1440.
Oodle Noodle Origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle.
It's playoff time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker. Join us for the Titan Supply pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products.
At GS Construction, we're multitaskers. We've got lots of projects going on all around Edmonton and area. Different teams across the city working towards the same outcome. Installing today what will serve generations to come. It's a rewarding career and the work never stops. That's why GS Construction is always on the lookout for great people to join us. Right now, we're looking for experienced topmen, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. So if you want to feel valued, empowered, and engaged in your work, visit gsconstruction.ca today.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact because our team is built on second chances and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Krueger for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
Hey, it's Jamie from Green Drop Lawn Care. You've known and trusted us as Canada's lawn expert since 1979. In all that time, the only thing we've loved to watch grow and flourish more than your lawn is our community. You've given us so much over the years, and we love to give back. Our community events crew is on the streets, at the festivals, and helping grow great causes and charities across the city. We love knowing your lawn is taken care of, and we'll help take care of the community too. Visit greendrop.com, and we'll see you out there.
Is your business ready to grow? Not sure how? We have your solution. We are Stingray. Whether your customers are around the corner or across the country, Stingray connects you. With radio to digital advertising, including connected TV, search and social, programmatic, digital advertising, and digital out of home. From idea to execution, we've got you covered. With creative and production, cross-platform integration, detailed reporting, and one-on-one support, it's the
Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. wolfgmcbuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out at wolfgmcbuick.com. Joined by Rachel Krychak from Vetalytics, talking Edmonton Oilers playoffs and NHL playoffs. Rachel, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Happy Monday.
All right. So let's start with this. The Oilers have some youth marbled into the roster this year in some important spots. So how important are players like Matt Savoy and Vasily Podkolzin to this year's team?
Extremely. I don't think particularly Matthew Savoy's importance can be overstated here. We're talking about a player who is playing on the top line with Connor McDavid and is performing quite admirably. It's been a very long time since we've been able to have a discussion about Connor McDavid's wingers that didn't involve Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Leon Draisaitl going up there. And yes, Zach Hyman is playing on the other wing, but the fact that they have somebody else there, and that means that that spot doesn't have to be occupied by Draisaitl or Nugent-Hopkins, allows them to have depth throughout the rest of their lineup. And with Matt Savoy, like, I think when you look at how he is playing, how he's performing, how he's really meshed and figured out Connor McDavid's style of play and playing off Zach Hyman as well, the kid gets it. He's pretty consistently putting up a couple shots per game. He's pretty consistently retrieving pucks. He's a player that Edmonton can rely on to give them good minutes in the top six. And then you look at Vasily Podkolzin, talking about a very physical player who has some scoring talent. And in the playoffs, that's exactly the kind of oomph that you need, especially as you get deeper in there. He's exactly the kind of guy that is going to get under the skin of some of the other opponent's players and can get them off their game, but then can also make them pay for it with a big goal. He seems like the guy that scores maybe 5 goals in a playoff run, and every single one of them is either a game tying or a game winning goal.
Before they made the trade, I thought the best partner for Darnell Nurse was a puck mover. He's played well with Evan Bouchard. He's played well with Troy Stetcher in the past. They end up getting Connor Murphy, more of a shutdown type, but it's working. So my question is, why is it working? And how much does this pairing suppress Edmonton's offense, because the quality outlet passes aren't going to happen? And so you're getting the defense, but you're maybe not optimizing the offensive puck movement that you would say with the Bouchard-Ekholm pairing.
Yeah, I think at this particular point in time, you know what you're getting with Darnell Nurse, and none of it is really elite puck moving or solid defensive reliability without the presence of a really good defensive partner. With how well Evan Bouchard is playing right now, you don't touch him. I don't care what's best for Darnell Nurse at that point, and neither should the Edmonton Oilers. It's about what's best for Evan Bouchard. And because if you look at it, like, he's their offensive catalyst on the back end, and whatever you need to do to make sure that Evan Bouchard is able to do the things that he needs to do on a regular basis so that he can produce offense from the back end has to be priority number one. But when you look at Connor Murphy and Darnell Nurse, the Oilers haven't really ever had a pairing that, yes, they don't move the puck particularly well, but that's not to say that Darnell Nurse has never moved the puck particularly well. He certainly had that capability earlier in his career, but at this point, the Oilers actually have a defensive pairing that seems to sort of work. And I mean, that's not something they've ever really had, at least in the McDavid era. And so I would at least take a look at it and take the positives from it. Yeah, you're not getting as much puck moving, but I'm still going to, even if you say, just go off the glass and out and let the guys chase it, if they happen to be on the ice with McDavid or Draisaitl or really any of the speedy wingers, I'd still take them to win that puck race pretty much any day of the week. Certainly Radko Gudas and Jacob Trouba are not outskating them. So I think you need to be pretty happy with the fact that we now have a pairing in Edmonton that can capably defend, and just kind of build off that. And you rely on Bouchard and Ekholm to create the lion's share of your offense, maybe 80% from the back end, and know that they're capable of doing that. And then just hope that the other two pairings are capably defensible at this point, and that you get decent goaltending, I think, is a recipe for success.
That's all. Yep, that's all fair. You mentioned Gudas and Trouba. Gudis is filthy. We've seen him, impact a couple of great players here.
That's a kind assessment of him.
And the refs put their whistles away this time of year too, so it's a double damage. How much? Like, I feel like by 9:00 Edmonton time, we'll be talking about Radko Gudas, and maybe that's an overreaction or hyperbole, but I've seen him play, and this is where he, when they relax the rules, Radko Gudas can really wreak havoc.
Yeah, so if you look at the Tampa Montreal game, like that was a parade to the penalty box. And I mean, some of them were ticky tacky, but some of them were legitimate penalties. Here's kind of where I stand on it, specifically as it pertains to the likes of the superstars. And we've already seen him cause one superstar to need surgery this year. And I mean, the Penguins were in some trouble at some point because Sidney Crosby was out, and I would say it cost Canada the gold medal. So this guy is a problem. And here's what I would say about Radko Gudas. You can't spend your entire game plan worrying about him because he's not nearly good enough to do so. You need to worry about guys like Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson and Beckett Seneca. But if you're the officials and you're the NHL, you understand that Radko Gudas makes you $0. In fact, he probably costs you money at this point because a lot of people who would have otherwise paid to go see Austin Matthews play weren't doing that. So in the playoffs who your money makers are. And I'm not saying that they should be given a better whistle. In fact, Connor McDavid is never given a better whistle. But if it is a play that could cause an injury, if it's a play that affects a scoring chance, or if it's a blatantly obvious play, call it. No one's asking you to call the ticky-tacky stick taps, to call the little hooking penalties. If he sticks a knee out and it deserves 5 in a game, give him 5 in a game. If he sticks an elbow out, give him an elbowing penalty. We're not asking you to make up a new rule book. We're asking you to call the penalties that are there, and specifically the penalties that can cause injuries, because there are 0 people, Anaheim fans included, that would rather watch Radko Gudas than either of McDavid or Draisaitl. So I think when you're looking at players like that, you need to have an eye that they're going to do something dumb. Not that Radko Gudas has any business being on the ice with Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, given how good they are and how fallen off he is. But you need to look at a scenario and say, if that's a play that could cause an injury and there's an infraction on it, you need to call it.
Rachel Krychak, our guest on Sports 1440 in the Lowdown with Lowetide. I want to talk a little bit about the Sabres. I love the win, even though it came versus the Bruins, and I'm a Bruins fan. I see that series basically as Swayman stopping enough pucks and the Bruins steal it. There was a great, exciting atmosphere. I kind of cheer for the Sabres too because it's been so long. What are your thoughts on that series, and specifically about Swayman's importance?
Okay, so I thought the Bruins did a really good job of coming out and taking the crowd out of it, and quite frankly, making the crowd very restless. There was a point where there were boos, and they weren't undeserved. So I thought from a game plan perspective, that was executed to perfection. But it sort of felt like in the third period, it had been building. I thought the Sabres were the better team throughout the game, if we were being honest. And I thought that Boston was really fortunate to be up 2-0. And you just felt like as soon as Tage Thompson scored the first one, you just kind of felt that train was going to get going and that atmosphere was going to be a problem. And I think this is a home ice series. The thing about the Boston Bruins is they are an elite playoff team on home ice. They are a completely different hockey team, especially as it gets later into the series. Buffalo needs to win game 2. And they probably need to steal 1 of game 3 or 4 in Boston, because if you have to go to game 6 in Boston, you are probably going to game 7. And that's kind of where I'm at on that series. Is I really think that it's a home ice series because the crowds are on top of you. That is an electric atmosphere at both arenas. And yeah, Jeremy Swayman is going to have to be very good because the Buffalo Sabres are a better team. Yes, David Pastrnak is probably the best player in that series, but Charlie McAvoy and Rasmus Dahlin, they're comparable. Jeremy Swayman is really the only edge that, at least playoff proven edge, that the Bruins have. And like from a depth of scoring perspective, Buffalo is a better team. From a underlying numbers perspective, Buffalo is a better team. And Boston's quite lucky, I would say, to be in the playoffs, generally speaking. And so, like, from a luck perspective, the Bruins have been very lucky this year, and so have the Sabres, but the Sabres just have more depth. And so I do agree with your assertion that Swayman's a big part of it, but I would not count out the fact that the Sabres team, pretty much no one's played in the playoffs because none of them, they haven't played in the playoffs in 15 years. And playing in Boston in the playoffs, I mean, as a kid from Toronto, it's a bit of a different animal. And I think that those players are going to find it a little bit difficult.
Are the Minnesota Wild 6-1 good, or do you think Dallas responds here?
I thought Dallas was pathetic in game one. Like I don't know. Minnesota is not 6-1 good. Minnesota has also never been up 2-0 in a playoff series in franchise history, which is a fun little stat given they've been around for as long as they have been. But I thought Dallas was absolutely pathetic in game one. They were unwatchable. Like, I'm not certain they would have beaten the Calgary Flames with the way they played in game one. They were that poor. So I look at Dallas and I think you're at home. You have to rebound here. Guys like Mikko Rantanen, invisibility cloak. That can't happen. We know he's been a playoff performer. Look at last season. He needs to be better, and I'm sure he will be. Wyatt Johnston needs to be better. Jason Robertson has a sterling record against the Minnesota Wild. He scored in game one. He's probably going to have to score in game two. And my goodness, Jake Ottinger is going to have to play a whole lot better. Like you kind of have to look at this and go, you need a couple early goals from Dallas, and then you need to play really well. You need to be able to keep up with Minnesota's speed. They are a fast team, and you have to be able to defend well. But if they come out with anything remotely close to that effort in game one, they're going to get run right out of their own barn again.
So, final one, and I asked because it didn't like I like the team, but I thought Montreal Canadiens, they won the game against a really good team that I think Tampa Bay is one of two in the East that I would consider strong candidates to make the final, but Montreal wins it. Could Montreal go all the way to the final, or is that just a bridge too far for a young team?
Yeah, I would make the assertion that Montreal probably doesn't win that game if it's called differently. Like if it's called like every other playoff game is called, they don't win that game because they don't get that many power play opportunities. I would say that they were extraordinarily lucky that game one played out the way that it did. I do wonder if we see an appearance from Victor Hedman sooner rather than later. And go from there. But this is the wrong team to be doing this against. Tampa is the most battle-tested team in the Eastern Conference as it pertains to the playoffs. And granted, they are 1-10 in their last 11 playoff home games, and they are 4-13 in their last 17 playoff games. They haven't been very good of late. But the difference is they have experience, and there is going to be pushback. There absolutely is. And the NHL isn't going to be happy with the amount of power plays that were in game one, and they're going to tell them to put the whistles away. Like we all, like clockwork, we know this is happening. So I look at this and I go, I still think Tampa probably wins this series. I think Montreal was extraordinarily lucky, and I don't think Montreal has I don't think they have quite the depth and the battle-tested playoff grit that is necessarily required to make it all the way to the Cup final. I would take Buffalo against them.
It's already fun though, right? It's already a blast, and we're 2 nights in.
I know, and the most fun series hasn't even started yet, and that's the Edmonton-Anaheim series, which is going to be a complete offensive gong show for the entirety of the series.
It's wild. Rachel, thank you. Look forward to talking to you next Monday.
Sounds good, Lowetide.
There you go. Rachel Krychak, and I think, we've used up all of our time. I don't even have time to call a friend. That's it. We're done. We're out. Okay. Jason Krueger straight ahead at 6 o'clock. Andrew Walker has the pregame show, postgame as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the game. It's going to be wild in the streets tonight. Thanks for tuning into the Lowdown.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly, 780-265-0165. Oilers, of course, in action tonight. Game 1 against the Ducks, 8 p.m. puck drop, and it will be Connor Ingram in the starters. Net other games around the league, we'll see Philly and Pittsburgh at 5, Ottawa and Carolina at 5:30, and Minnesota and Dallas at 7:30. All of those, of course, game 2s in their series. Toronto and Cleveland in the NBA at 5, Atlanta, New York at 6, and Minnesota, Denver at 8:30. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.